Being humble is a great one because you never want to perceive yourself or view yourself as better than another person or than your customer. Being successful, I guess, is just learning. And once you learn, it doesn't just stop there. You have to take action. And I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I didn't take action on what I learned.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, like, comment. If you're listening to this over on the podcast, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever it is, it's a bit available on all platforms. Please leave us a 5-star review to help us get out to more people. I love doing this because it is good conversations with good people. Anybody is welcome. If you guys ever want to be a guest on this show, if you guys listen or watch any of my content, go ahead and message me. Come on, tell your story. That's what it's about. If there's any sponsors that want to reach out and support the show, go ahead and also reach out to me. My email's posted everywhere. ReliableHVACR956@gmail.com is how you can get a hold of me. Speaking of sponsors, today's episode is brought to you by my favorite CRM, Jobber. If you guys want to use a software that helps us boost our business, whether it's invoicing, quoting, scheduling, keeping track of your team, price lists, our maintenance plan is in there. Now they help you with marketing and running campaigns through emails, all that stuff. And you can talk to your customer through texting in the customer hub. They can request work. You never have to pick up the phone. They can actually request work online through text. You can tell them that you're on the way. All the stuff that you would expect from a professional CRM. If you guys want a free trial and discount, go to getjobber.com/reliable-HVACR. Also, VETO Pro Pack, the best tool bags in the game. I know people tell me the first thing is always the price. Let me tell you, other brands that I used to get at the supply house never lasted me. So in that short amount of time, I was buying several of those bags when I could just buy one VETO Pro Pack tool bag. And if you want to go check them out, go to vetopropack.com. You can also get them at any supply house or place that you buy equipment. They usually have VETO Pro Pack, and they just came out with the MB3 Blackout, which I am super excited for because I actually had a hand in some major design in that bag, and I hope to continue to work with that. But I use the MB3 Blackout as my favorite. I also use the Wheelers. I use a lot of their tote bags. I even have something in my van that just holds bottles and miscellaneous things, and it's made by them too. They have a bag for every scenario, so you won't be disappointed. Go check out VETO Pro Pack, and if you go to their website, go to the customer profile. You'll find me in there. You can learn a little bit more about me, and you'll probably see a lot of these YouTubers and people on Instagram that you might watch in that section. And when you're ready to level up your business, you can join BOSCH Home Comfort Pro. When you sign up, you get exclusive deals, priority technical support, and free marketing and advertising resources. By choosing BOSCH, you can represent one of the largest HVAC brands in the market with over 100 years of industry expertise. Join today at boschhomecomfort.us/HC Pro. And a big thanks to all the sponsors that make this show possible and moving forward. You'll hear more from Local HQ Marketing, NAVIEN, and DIVERSITECH throughout the show. And don't forget that I have another podcast/live stream every Thursday night, the HVAC Nights. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's me, Jake, and Curtis. You might know them already. And we just talk shop about our work week and life stuff. It gets crazy. It gets uncensored. It's a fun time. So come check us out live every Thursday on YouTube. And it's available on all podcast platforms later that week. If you ever want to keep up to date with anything that I use, whether it's tool recommendations, Camel City Mill socks have been really great for me, and the Huxley work pants. I have discounts for a lot of these things that I use. You can find them in my website, reliablehvacr.net. So like I said, tool link, recommendations, discounts. I got merch there. You can request stickers. I will have my arm sleeves up for sale soon, so make sure to keep an eye out there. And if you just remember to go to the website, you'll always keep up to date with everything. On today's episode, we have EwokDoesHVAC. You can call him E. He is new to YouTube, Instagram, so I'll make sure to leave all his information in the description. Go follow him, check him out. He's pumping out some really good HVAC content as a newcomer. He's only 18 years old and he's doing really well. Good head on his shoulder. But you know what? I'll let him tell it. He did a really good job explaining his story, and enjoy the episode. Yo, E, what is up, man?
What's up, Adrian? Not much. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Did you come from somewhere? You're all
Awesome.
like
Yeah.
dressed up.
Yeah, I just came back from church. Yep.
Gotcha, man. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
then,
Yep.
well, I mean, blue collar guys can dress up too, so it's all good.
And that's a fact. Yep. I love my suits. You can see behind me, I got a bunch of suits, all
Oh yeah.
custom bespoke suits. I love fashion and stuff like that.
Hey man, well, I'll get into it a little bit later as far as like dealing with customers, kind of
Hmm.
the professionalism of it, and it
Oh
looks like
yeah,
you got that part down.
definitely.
Have you, just real quick, do you know of the AHR expos or any of the trade shows or the HVAC Tactical Award Show?
Yeah, I have heard of them. I've heard of the HVAC tactical show through you. Actually, you made a short podcast with a
Okay.
few guys. We were talking about it, and but yeah, I've been looking into it for sure.
Hey man, that's where you get to dress up. It's a black tie event, and
Definitely.
I don't
Yep.
know, maybe you can go out there.
I actually watched the full show, and I saw that you won a reward.
Yeah, it's in the back. You can't see it too well, but it's there.
Awesome. Nice, bro. Good stuff.
That one was and I was very proud of that one because it's for best content, right? Because
Awesome.
I mean, I got into it a while back. I'm into YouTube. I do the Instagram. I do the TikTok. I don't know if you're on any of those other platforms, but those are really good communities as well, especially the Instagram, if you ever do.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, definitely.
that's where I meet a lot of the guys. And just like YouTube has its own community, which I've seen like in your comments, you get a lot of young guys that are like in the same exact situation that you find yourself in, right? Like you're
Def-
new to the trade, getting into it, and enjoying what you're doing, and that's the people that you attract,
Yeah.
which is why I've told people like that want to get into making content, like just do it, because there's
Yeah.
somebody out there that is doing exactly what you're doing or going through the same exact thing. And I see
Yeah.
it with you and your
Oh,
channel.
definitely. Yeah, and my viewers, I definitely resonate with them because they're kind of on the same, start as me. They're trying to get into the trade, they're trying to learn, and being able to guide them in the right direction and give them some advice and tips. It's definitely awesome because I just want, everyone around me to succeed.
That's a good outlook on that. And if you obviously you're doing pretty well, your numbers have been going up and stuff like that. So like when I started seeing that, it's like, okay, I got this platform now. How can I help others, right? Because when I
Definitely.
started mine, it was just because like I see a lot of crazy stuff at work, doing restaurant refrigeration and stuff like that. So I'm
Yeah.
in kitchens, I'm in all these weird areas,
Yeah.
and I was like, sometimes I see some crazy stuff, and I was like, I'm just gonna post it.
People
But
want to
then
see that.
those comments and messages come in, and it's
Mhm.
like, oh dude, this helped me this with this, or this is motivating, or this. I'm like,
Yeah.
that kind of blew
Yeah.
my mind.
It's crazy. It's something I never expected for anyone to kind of like say they learned something from my videos, or I've motivated them, but it's definitely something that comes along with doing it, and it's awesome. It's definitely awesome. Makes me want to make more content and provide more content for all my viewers can so they can learn.
It's a big motivation type of deal when you see that stuff, because every time, and it's overwhelming. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I'm not sure like what your flow is, but like, recording, editing, posting that stuff,
Oh yeah,
especially if you're trying to be consistent, like it's a lot of work. I'm sure
it
you've kind of
definitely is.
noticed that.
I've definitely came across that hurdle just recently, just realizing how long it takes to edit a video. And obviously, my edits aren't anything crazy. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just simple editing, and just that
Yeah.
simple editing of just hours of footage can definitely take up a whole day. Yesterday, I just found myself editing for pretty much a little more than half the day. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's something, you know, you learn, but yeah,
When I started, it's because it's funny because like I've talked to so many people doing this now, and so many of them do the content, whether it's on YouTube or any of the other platforms. And like when I do the group live stream with the other guys, Curtis and Kraus, it's funny because me and Jake are like, we want to add music, we want to do this, like we get real into the editing, and then Curtis is like, what takes you guys so long? Just post the
hmm
damn thing. He's like, I just
yeah,
cut mine
that's
up
true.
and post it.
Curtis videos are amazing, and I think
They
he
are.
literally raw edits, and he does have a few cuts and stuff in there, but it's so easy to watch. And honestly, Curtis is who got me into making videos. I
Okay,
would
I was
watch
gonna
Curtis.
ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. So Curtis is the reason why I'm making videos now. Curtis is I learned a lot from him, and from the beginning, from my first um, from watching his videos, his raw, unedited videos, it shows the entire process of from start to finish, and that's really valuable when you're just soaking up all the information,
Yeah.
watching that hour-long, 45-minute long video, and you learn so much. And yeah, so one day I was watching his videos, and I'm like, all right, I want to start making my own videos. I'm in a great position where I'm at right now to just start filming. So I'm looking and trying to see how he films his videos because I like his POV shots. You know what I mean? I like that simple,
He
hands
has it,
off.
but he has it, pretty, like he's really good at that kind of footage and
Definitely,
editing and
he is.
content.
He is, because it's not easy, and I realized that after, trying to mimic what he does. And so I'm like, "Okay, how does he do it?" He doesn't wear a chest strap, the GoPro strap, because I don't see it in his videos. So I'm, like, researching. I'm trying to look, like, does he ever, tell his viewers his setup? And no, not from what I can tell. I
It's
couldn't
because
find
like
anything.
yeah, we talked because me and Jake will talk like cameras all day. Like we love
Yeah.
the tech stuff. And
Yep.
then he kind of chimes in, and he's, I think he just bought another GoPro right now, and
Nice.
he's been like experimenting with different things. And
Yeah.
we would ask him about that too, and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
he uses and I'm pretty sure you found the stealth mounts.
Yeah, I found
And
it. Yeah, I noticed that he had something around his neck, and I'm like, "Alright, let me try to search something up." Yeah, I found it.
but he's always like, oh, I'm gonna stick to HVAC. Like he doesn't want to talk about like the tech stuff on his channel, I guess,
Yeah,
because it's, it's just HVAC that he does. So he posts,
I
and
understand
like
that.
that's another thing. Like he tells us like, oh, we're doing, that's a lot of work that we're doing, to put a video out. But I'm like, well, that's, that's our style. But I'm still looking at his, like, how the hell does he do it? Because he's posting every day, and then it's
Mhm.
like you said, like it could be like a 40 minute of an hour long video, and I'm like, you
Yeah.
got to sit through there and edit that stuff still. Because, and it's funny because I actually told him, I was like, dude, this Ewok kid is like
Mhm.
a mini you. He's like the next HVAC guy,
That's
because you
crazy.
got the
Yeah,
same, the same style, and the way you cut it up and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, and like you said, it's really good to learn from, because it is raw, like in the real world of HVAC. Like he's putting something together, taking something apart, kind of see the
yeah,
little hiccups here and there that he has, and
definitely.
that's helpful.
And I feel like for him, for someone who wants to make content like him, raw, kinda unedited, content, you gotta have some experience under your belt, because those 45-minute long to an hour videos that he does, that's the full process of elimination of everything he's doing. And let's say if I were to try to do something like that, I would put unedited raw footage of me installing a blow motor or installing something. It wouldn't take me an hour. It would take me a little longer, just because, I don't have that much experience
Yeah,
under my belt. So if I personally would try to do full raw unedited videos, it would be a few hour long video. You know what I mean? So that's why I respect that, because him himself, he has a lot of experience and he knows what he's doing. So he's able to eliminate, install something or diagnose something quickly, and within a decent time span, he can make a full length video about it.
and it's funny because everybody has the critics and the comments, and people will tell him he's doing it the wrong way, or a certain way that they would do it, and I'm like, no, just leave it in there.
Yeah.
Because even when I started my channel, like I said, it was for like the crazy things that I saw, but then I started posting like more longer, videos showing everything, and I left in all the mistakes. I mean, I've screwed up on camera, and it's like
Oh
you
yeah.
you screw up every day. I mean, you learn
Definitely.
from it, but it's you're not going to be
Yeah.
perfect. And
Yeah,
what's
definitely.
funny is when I started doing that, then like comments came in about like, I'm glad that you did this, because like, there's certain creators, and there's nothing wrong with it, that will cut out everything, and it's like, here's what I
Yeah.
did, here's the finished product, and it might look great, perfect install, whatever it was, but
Yeah.
you didn't see all the hiccups along the way.
That's true, exactly. And as far as hiccups, and that's something that I've came across recently, and I'm gonna be more, what do you call it, public about. And my next video is actually of a callback, my first callback that I've ever gotten from running service calls. So I'm gonna make a video about that, and just show, like, what happened. If it was I take full accountability, of course, but
Yeah.
I want to give my viewers a chance to kind of interact and give me your opinion. Was it my fault, or it's
And
type stuff like that.
I can predict high views, because every time I put callback in my title or anything like that, people will
Yeah,
go in instantly
yeah,
and run that up.
yeah. And I'm thinking of titling it, "My first callback. Was it
Oh
my
yeah.
fault?" Question mark. That would
Hey
be good.
man, it'll get the views. This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free. And this was something else I was going to mention, but are you 18?
Yes, I am 18. Yes,
Holy
sir.
crap. I
Yeah.
have been doing this almost as long as you've been alive.
Wow,
I'm
that's
I'm
pretty crazy.
I'm 17 years in the HVAC
Wow,
trade.
nice. That's amazing, bro. Congratulations. That's a
Thanks.
sick milestone for sure.
Oh, thanks. I can already feel the especially talking to a lot of these kids on YouTube or Instagram. I'm like, man, I feel my age. I'm starting to feel it.
Nah, man, you're good. You're pumping out content. You're doing amazing on YouTube. Your videos that I watch, you're doing amazing work. It's awesome, bro.
Thanks, man. And even I've taken from Curtis, because like me and Jake like kind of look up to that guy too. Like you said, he's
Nice,
been in this for a long time, and he's
definitely.
just calm and collective and goes through the process, the way you should. And seeing him do the long form and the POV that you're talking about, that kind of got me into doing more of that style too,
Yeah,
which I think is just, it's helpful to somebody.
it is most definitely.
So then let's go ahead and introduce you to anybody watching or listening to this. Name, occupation, kind of where you're from.
Sounds good. Yeah, my name is E. I am an HVAC technician out of Southern California. I've been in the trade for 1 year and 8 months now. I started off, a year and 8 months ago as an apprentice and just a helper, and here I am now, 18, as an HVAC technician. But yeah, I'm from a small town out here in Hemet. That's where our shop is located.
How did
Yeah,
you get about getting into the trades? Like, what either interested you into getting into it, especially at a young age? Because it's funny, man, doing this podcast, getting to know people. There's a lot of kids out there right now that are just out there trying to get it, like yourself. And I'm
yeah,
like, okay, if you had not told me your age or like how long you've been doing this, because a lot of guys are like, oh, I've only been doing this 2 to 3 years, and I'm like, I would have thought you've been doing this like 7, 8 years or whatever, because they soak up the information, they're so confident, and that's
yeah.
that's good to see. But like, what interested you about this trade
Mhm.
specifically, and then how did you get into it?
Yeah. So I never really, okay, so I'll tell you from the beginning. So when I was 15 and a half, I got my first job at a recycling center, and I was just working Monday to Saturday, just grinding and just saving. So I was there for about a year, and then I quit. There was a 6 month period in my life where I wasn't working, and I was just kind of looking to see what I wanted to do as a career. I would search up on Google trades. I would search up all the different trades that was on Google, and I would just kind of pick through them and see what kind of interested me. And I never really stopped and looked at HVAC. I know I saw it when I scrolled. I never really stopped to, do more research into it. What interested me was the electrical side of things. I was looking into that a little bit. Never really made a move and went for it. But throughout that 6-month period where I wasn't working, my close friend that I grew up with actually hit me up and was like, "Hey, I need help." And he was a HVAC tech, and he worked for my friend's dad. So it was a
Okay.
small company. So yeah, so he hit me up for some help. I helped him, and and then soon after that, he asked me if I wanted to work with him, and I was like, okay, this is a trade, which is something I was looking for. It's a skilled trade, and yeah, I would like to do that. So I texted him. And I was like, yeah, I'll work with you. So we just started working. I got the job. The boss talked to the boss. Talked about pay. We talked about just work, and he was on board, and I got hired as an apprentice slash helper. So I was just learning on the way. So as far as HVAC, you can see that it kind of fell in my lap. You know what I mean? I didn't
Yeah.
really search and seek out for it. You know what I mean? And I think I hear that a lot when it comes to trades and HVAC. It's kind of like I didn't necessarily choose it. It kind of chose me, you know? So that's how I
And
got into the trade.
you said like you fell into it because of your friends and all that, but it
Yes,
technically checked all the boxes that you were already looking
very
for
true.
because you were
Yep,
actively, looking for something like this, and then it just happened to
definitely.
be that this, uh, getting you to help out over here, it was actually a
Mhm.
good opportunity to get into the or get your foot in the
Yep.
door.
It was most definitely, and that definitely got my foot into the door. It was my boss owned that company, so he had 3 other guys in that company, and I was really just doing a lot of installs. We really, now looking back, and that was the most amount of installs I've ever done. We would do 3, 4 a week, and I would really help out a lot with the installs. I would learn a lot about installing. As far as service calls, I never really did much service calls with them. They really just needed my help doing installs. So I definitely learned a lot from that company, and that company was definitely the foundation of my career. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for that company,
Did
hiring me and letting me help them out.
and that's cool, and it's cool that they took, you know, because you said you had a couple of friends there, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they were willing to take on the younger kids and kind of
Yeah.
train them. Did you guys or did you have a good mentor? Like, did they explain everything that was going on while you were on the job site and everything?
Definitely doing installs and everything. I definitely had a mentor that was my close friend, and he showed me the ways of installing. Taught me a little bit about the refrigeration cycle. I didn't completely understand it at that point, but he taught me the best he can, and
Yeah.
that was definitely my mentor at that point.
And did you ask a lot of questions?
I definitely did. I
Did
asked a
you
ton of questions.
did you
Yep.
get on his nerves?
Yeah, I definitely did. I would ask a lot of questions, and I would ask the same questions over again, because something about
Oh,
me is I have what is it? I have short-term memory. So I don't have a great time remembering things. So I'm always asking the same questions again, and I could see how it could get annoying. But that's kind of something that I need to do to engrave it in my head, and to actually fully remember what I'm
yeah.
learning.
Yeah, that sounds like my son. I have to repeat myself like
Yeah.
5 times and then he'll get it.
Yeah. Yep, it happens.
What about it did you enjoy as far as, like, you finally get this as a job or like a potential career, all that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get into it, don't like it, get out of it, something they don't
Yeah.
like about it, and then a lot of guys that are especially that are young and get into it, if they stay with it or stick with it, it's because they really love something about it. Like, what kept you hooked?
Yeah, so it was definitely the customer service, the interactions with customers. So coming from that previous job, the recycling center, I always liked being upfront and talking to customers. I liked the conversations we had, and just the communication. So coming to the trade and being able to talk to new customers every day, new customers every few hours, it was amazing. And that's one thing that I definitely liked about it. And then the other thing that I saw as a potential was my when I would run service calls with my friend, he's able to make the amount of money that you know, he has control of how much money he
Yeah.
makes. He's on, commission, and he's selling his own jobs. So I like that idea of, being able to make what I want to make, being control of how much money I make. So those couple things definitely um, uh, got my interest, and what got me to, really fall in love with the trade. Because after that, the work that we would do, it was amazing. I took pride in my work, and I loved putting in, good work for my customers, and I loved doing nice installs that my boss would be happy with, sending a picture of the install to my boss, and my boss, like, being happy with the results. It's a good feeling.
And I can attest to that. But like me being, I got into it when I was like 20. So like I,
Okay.
graduated high school. I took a year off personally because I didn't want to. But at the time, I didn't know about the trades. Like I was thinking like I have to go to
Gotcha.
college. I got to do this. I got to find a
Yeah.
degree. And I was just like, I can't do school right now. I need to take a year off. I worked
Yeah.
for a like a Sam's Club, a grocery store.
Yeah.
And like you said, like being in the trades, you kind of get to, make the money that you put into it, you get money out of it. And
Definitely.
and if you want to work more, you can work more. Like you said, there's commission opportunity, and even just learning a skill, you bring up your value so much, especially like as much as whatever you can learn. If you can do install service, like the more you can do, the more valuable you are, and another company will hire you on the spot, pay you more, whatever it is. But like when I was at that grocery store, I was promised so many raises, so many
Mhm.
promotions, and I never got them. They always
Yeah.
found a loophole to kind of screw me over. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So then that's when my dad started his business and I got into it and I got into the trades. And I was like,
Nice.
okay, this is better. You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Running a
most definitely.
business is a little bit different because like we make as much as we get as far as like customers. So the more customers we can get, the more maintenance we can get, the like whatever it is, that's how much
Okay.
money that I'm gonna make because
Yeah.
I mean I'm working more obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
that whole grocery store, I was just so upset and I was so happy
Oh
to
yeah.
leave
That was
and
your
then get
turning point. Yeah.
yeah, I was so happy to tell the boss. They're like, no, I'm gonna go work for my dad. We're gonna go start our own thing. It's like I'm out. It felt so
That's
good.
awesome. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So okay, so then you worked there. Did you stay there? Or did you move to another company?
Yeah, so for that first company, that I worked for, I was there for a year and a half, and I was just soaking in all the information I can and trying to learn as much as I can from that company. But there was a point in there where I kind of felt like there wasn't too much more there wasn't more room for growth. So I definitely wanted to look for another opportunity at a bigger company, and that's what I did. So one Sunday night, I reached out to probably 10 HVAC companies, and I was just searching up HVAC companies near me, and I was just emailing them an email, similar email to every single one of them, and it was kind of just talking about me, my age, how I have a driver's license, and the tools I possess, and the experience that I have. And three got back to me. One was, I think, union, so they weren't like hiring apprentice at the moment. The other one weren't looking for apprentice, because that's what I was asking for. I was asking for an apprentice slash helper position. But one company did get back to me the next morning. They called me at like 7 o'clock in the morning. It was the boss, the owner, and he was like, "Hey, can you come in right now?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I get
Yeah.
out of bed, toss some clothes on, and I go straight over there to the shop. So he basically did a little interview, just talking about me and stuff like that. And he was like, "Okay, so you got your tools on you?" I'm like, "Yep." And he was like, "All right, I'm gonna shoot you to an address, and I'm gonna send you to this job. It was an install, and I'm going to have you help out my guys." So he wanted to see, he wanted the guys to get to know me, see if they like me, and just see how I work and how I perform. So I did that, and I helped him out. And me and those two guys, we had a lot in common. We were having good conversations, and we just all got along well. So about a day after that, he gives me a call. He's like, all right, come to the shop. And he's like, I got the job, and he gave me company shirts and stuff like that. And but yeah, that's how I got into the job that I'm at right now. And the job I'm at right now, I've been here for about 3 months now.
Okay. Today's episode is also brought to you by NAVIEN. If you haven't seen it yet, NAVIEN has entered the HVAC space in a big way with the new NPF hydro furnace. This hydronic forced air furnace delivers industry-leading variable capacity operation from 15 to 100% in both natural and propane configurations. You can learn more at navieninc.com. I also want to thank DIVERSITECH. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com, and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC. So like at your first one, was it just installs? Did you do any service over there?
Yeah, so it was a lot of installs, and it was barely any service. I would run like, man, I don't even remember the service calls we ran, but it was probably like a handful. But it was mainly installs.
And then over here, is it more service?
Yeah, so over here, mainly what they had me doing was installs. So at first, it was me and another guy that were dedicated installers, and we had an install van. And the thing is, I was talking to the boss, and I told him how I want to stay busy all year round, and I want to have work. So one thing he told me was, okay, I'll have you run installs, and then when there's no installs, I'll have you ride along with my technicians, and while they're doing service calls, I'll ride along with them. So I was really happy with that. And one other thing he did say was, when it's slower on, in winter, when there's not much HVAC work, he'll have me do plumbing, because we do heating, air, and
Oh,
plumbing.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there
So
is there a preference that you have now that you've done a little bit of both, like installs or service?
oh yeah, my preference is definitely service. I love
Okay.
service. Yeah, service is definitely my preference.
I love it.
Yep.
My whole thing is like, I can't sit still. I don't like being in one place all
Y-
day. So like installs, like I don't mind doing them, and I'll make sure
Yeah.
that it's done, the best that I can. Like you said, be proud of it. But
Yeah.
I love running around. I got a call here, then I got a call over here, and
hmm
then I
Definitely.
got a problem that I can't solve right away, and I got to think about
Mhm.
it. Like all that stuff
Oh yeah.
is why I loved doing what we do.
Definitely. Yeah, me too. I don't like being in the same place at the same place the entire day either. I couldn't imagine myself being in an office job. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Uh, so okay, so if you worked when you were like younger, like you said, 15 or 16,
Mhm.
at a recycling center and all that, were you thinking about college at all?
No, I don't
No.
think college is no, I don't think college has ever been a thought. Um, I always wanted to just work with my hands. I like labor intensive work. I really enjoyed that, honestly. It really
So
kept me moving and busy.
yeah, so let me ask you this: did you grow up around the trades? Like, do your parents do anything like that, or
No, no. So I've never grew up around the trades. Actually, I can't say that, because my dad was worked it for Caltrans, and he did tree. Oh man, what is it that he did? He would basically cut down trees and stuff
okay?
like that in that matter. So he'd climb them and stuff like that. So that is a trade.
Yeah,
But besides that, that was it.
I never
So
thought
maybe
about it.
that is what moved me. That
Yeah,
what
because
moved
I
me
never
to
thought about it when I was younger, because you don't
Mhm,
know about the trades, and then like
mhm.
when you have like career days or anything that school does, it's like, oh, be a doctor, lawyer, whatever it is,
Yeah,
business degree, all these other things. They never talk about the trades, so
that's true.
I never knew about it. But
Yeah.
my grandfather was a mechanic, so
Okay.
whenever I would go over, because that I have a Hispanic family, you know how they are.
Yep.
They drop all the kids off, so all my cousins, all
Yeah.
the kids off at the grandparents, and then while
Mhm.
everybody goes to work, the kids are just there running around. So like
Yeah.
growing up, I was in my grandfather's like home shop, like his little garage
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But I never paid attention to it. I just knew he loved cars and working on
Yeah.
them. He taught all
Mhm.
his kids how to, because I have 9 uncles and aunts. So my dad
Oh, wow.
is one of 10. Yeah.
Okay. Got you.
So
Yep.
so then he taught a lot of them how to do mechanic work and stuff like that. So,
Nice.
then growing up, my dad would help me work on some vehicles and then this and that. So I
Mhm.
kind of liked, like you said, I like being outside, working on stuff with my
Oh,
hands,
yeah.
building things. And
Definitely.
I just never thought of it. Like I said, I was still in that mindset. I need to go to college. I need to do this. I need to do that. So
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
just curious as like the newer generation is a little
Mhm.
more conscious about like that they
Yeah.
want their money now. I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
kind of what you
Oh,
wanted.
yeah. So I did come across a video, now it comes to mind right now, I'm remembering. There's a video of this guy, I don't remember his name. He's in that kinda, friend group of Andrew Tate, I'm sure you know who that is.
Yeah.
And I've seen him a video of him, and he basically is a steel worker or an iron worker, and he makes good money. And basically, he was basically saying that a lot of the kids in this generation, they want to make that easy money, that quick money. They want to make that money online. They want to do stocks. They want to do trading. And that is true. And I can attest to that because that's what I did at first. I was day trading and I was trading stocks. It didn't end up too well. Lost a lot of money, but that's
Oh,
something that a lot of kids, want to do. But this guy was basically saying that no one wants to work in the trades. And he was saying that in the trades, there's a lot of good money in trades. And I remember he was kind of comparing it to people with degrees in college and the debt to income ratio and stuff like that. And that video did get me more intrigued into the trades, most definitely. So that's something I did want to bring out for sure.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy because like yes, the what I've noticed is the generation right now is like, they want their money quicker. But that could mean a few different things. That could just mean that they're going to bypass college like you did.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
some people do ask me sometimes, and they'll be like, what do you make starting out in HVAC? And then they're like,
Hmm.
or they're in their first year and they're like, I make this much. How can I make more?
Yeah.
And truth be told, I mean, it's not the most lucrative thing to get into your
Hmm.
first year or two. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you lucked out. I don't know how it works where you're at, but
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
honestly, it also depends on where you're at. Because like where I'm at, I live in a low income area. Like
Hmm.
it's all cheap here. Companies
Yeah.
are low balling everything. Like
Yeah.
you can only afford, especially an apprentice, like to pay them so much. So like you're gonna have to earn your stripes and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you already went through that because they already kind of saw
Yeah.
like your potential or what you were doing.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
once you get that part or past that
Mhm.
part, yes, like the money rolls in. You kind of have to
Yeah,
just keep that in mind. I always tell people keep that in mind. You
definitely.
might start at like $15 or less. I don't know what it is now,
Yeah,
but like you might
yeah,
start there, but you could end up in the
exactly.
20s easily, in the
Yeah.
30s
There's a
easily.
period. Exactly, there's a period where you're not gonna make the money that you want to make in the beginning, but once you get past that period, then it's just up from there, and you can really have control of what you make. That's definitely a good tip to tell, people starting out because they might look at their paycheck and be like, "Man, am I in the right trade? Am I in the
Yeah.
right career?" You know what I mean? They might question themselves, and honestly, I did that at times myself. When I was making minimum wage, I was like, "Man, I feel like I'm stuck here. I feel like, at the recycling center, I was making X amount. It was decent because I was there for a little bit and I got raises. So going into the trade, I'm like, all right, why am I making less than what I made at a recycling center? This is a
Yep.
skilled trade. So I was kind of going backwards and I had to remind myself, okay, I just got to get through this period. And I know it's going to be worth it once I get through that period.
I had a little bit of a benefit because it was my dad's company when I
Okay.
started. But yeah, like coming from the grocery store, I mean, I wasn't making much there either. It was like
Yeah.
less than 300 a week. I don't know what it was back
Mm.
then. And
Yeah.
then coming to my dad's, like he literally just started. I was excited to get into it and kind of get a grasp of like what was going on. And honestly, he does kitchen work, so it's like fixing
Yeah.
fryers, steamers, like all this
Nice.
cooking equipment.
Yep.
So that's what I started with. and I honestly I didn't like it. I still don't prefer
Okay.
not to do that side. I prefer to
Yeah.
do what we do, but
Yeah.
I took a pay cut to go work for him. I was like, he couldn't afford to
Okay.
pay me
Yeah.
much, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we've had our ups and downs. Even like I've had weeks in my first few years where he couldn't even, like, I didn't even get a paycheck because,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
we were
Okay.
trying to figure all that out.
Yeah.
We hired people and it kind of went downhill from there, and we kind of
Mm.
had to like let go of people and then kind of start up again and all that. Like we've been through all that,
Oh
but
yeah.
there's always that end goal, right? Like my end goal was like, this company is going to be basically mine, and the way we run it is I run the HVAC side and he runs the other side now. So like
Okay.
that was always my end goal, and I was like, I will
Yeah.
have the freedom to do whatever I want, you know,
Yeah.
later on, which I'm
Mhm.
getting those benefits now. I have kids.
Nice.
I pick them up from school. I get out when I want to get out. I make all their little events, you know, stuff like that. That's kind of the stuff that I always kept in mind,
That's
you know,
amazing.
working for myself.
Yeah. Most definitely. And you got through that period, that rough patch. And once you got through that,
And
like you said.
yeah, and like you being in it so young, and I tell people like when they get in it, you know, take advantage of being young. You don't have like a
Yeah.
family to feed.
Yeah.
You don't have nagging injuries like I do.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
still young. You can push through it. So
Definitely.
take advantage of that, because that's when you're gonna build it up, work those long hours. You're not gonna mind all that stuff. You're gonna, you know, it sounds like you save your money, you know, save all that money so
Yeah.
that later you can kind of benefit from all that,
Most definitely. Yeah. That's the plan.
or like take it easy, you know.
Yeah.
Because now I don't want to do anything. I'm like, no, I'll send my, because my brother works for us, my younger brother. I'm like, no,
Okay.
I'll
Cool.
send him to go
Yeah.
do that. Or if we have a helper, I was like,
There you go.
you get in the attic. Are you like an
Wow.
outdoor person? Have you always been an outdoor person? Like you said, I know you like to work with your hands and stuff like that. Any other hobbies before getting into the trade?
So I wasn't always an outdoor person. I want to say I am now, but growing up, I was addicted to video games.
I was gonna say, are you a
And
gamer?
yeah, growing up, I was a gamer and I would
What
play
was
long hours.
Well, I'm sorry. What was weird for me is I was
Uh-huh.
a bit of both. I was a
Okay.
gamer because I mean it's hard for me to play games now. I feel like I'm not even as good
Yeah.
anymore. But like
Yeah.
I used to play video games all the time with my best friends. Like they would come
Yeah.
over, play whatever, you know, had came out, and
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if you know what Blockbuster is or anything like that. Like we used to
I've
go.
heard of it.
Okay,
Yep.
I feel so old now, but like I used to go on the weekends and rent all these
Okay.
games that came out, and we would play them and try and
Nice.
beat them and everything.
Yep.
So I was a gamer too, but
Okay.
I also was into sports. So like my
Got
outdoor
you.
activity was going to play basketball at like all these parks.
Nice. Yeah.
My dad ended up building like a little court for me at the house. So then I would invite my friends over and we'd have games on the weekends
Awesome.
all night long. You know,
Yeah.
we would just,
That's
man,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
kind of why I was like a little bit of both, but I was just
Okay.
curious about
Yeah.
yourself.
No, yeah. For me, it definitely I did that's a good, what do you call it? Balance to having some outdoors and some video games in the mix. But for me, I did not have that balance. It was just straight video games. So I don't know if you heard of the video game Rust, RUST.
I think so.
But I would play that game religiously, and I would play 12, 15 hours a day. And it's a what do you call it? It's an online live game. So you when you log off, like anything can happen. You know, you can get raided, you can get, all
Oh,
your
okay,
stuff
okay.
taken. So what crazy enough, what I would do is I would keep my computer on. I would transfer my sound instead of from my headphones to my speakers, and I would be AFK in my base, and I would go to bed. And if I were to hear some rockets in the background, I'm
Yeah.
up and I'm ready to defend my base. So that was the video game I would play. I would play with some YouTubers that make amazing content. They make like movies, but it was amazing. But
And you got
I
to play
would
with them?
yeah, I got to play with them.
Well,
Yeah, it was
I was
awesome.
actually gonna ask you, did you have like a gaming channel before?
Yeah, so this channel that I'm making content on, I tried making content for video games because before Rust, I would make a lot of content on Fortnite. That was my game,
Oh,
Fortnite.
okay.
So yeah, I did try to make content in Fortnite. I would live stream on YouTube and stuff like that. I always wanted to do YouTube growing up. I always found interest in it, but it never really worked out. as far as video games, you know?
Which is,
So,
well, which is funny because my
mhm,
kids have been
mhm.
asking, "Can we start a YouTube channel?" I'm like, "No, I don't want you guys on there." And it's funny because
Really?
I have
Yeah,
one now, but I was like,
yeah,
"No," because that's it's a generational thing now. It's like
it
I want to
is.
be a YouTuber. That's a thing now.
Yeah, most definitely it is. Everyone wants
And
to.
I've so like I said, I don't play video games anymore because I feel
Mhm.
like I'm just not that good, and I feel like my
Yeah.
ADD has gotten worse. I have to be doing
Mm,
something. I'm always out and
yeah,
about, but
yeah.
I watch. So what I do now is I watch other like streamers and gamers.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
my YouTube is like half HVAC creators and half
Mm,
like gamers.
that's
So
cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
mine are probably older, but I watch like the Dashy games, the
Okay.
what do you call it, the Vanos gaming, Terrorizer. Yeah, I don't know. They're all older. You
I've
probably don't.
never heard of any of them.
So I watch these gamers play. I mean, they're not super
Okay.
serious. They're like jokey
Yeah.
and playing with each
Nice.
other. And
Yeah.
that's how I get, I guess, my outlet of gaming now because I don't play it.
Nice.
And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I mean that's the whole thing now. I mean YouTube, and I say the same thing because I run like 4 channels now that I'm trying to build up. But like
Yeah.
I've always been into the gaming stuff. Like I said, I used to watch these guys, and I thought about like doing it too, but then I was like, I don't want to. I don't know if I don't want to stream and like be the worst gamer online. And
I
then
feel that.
what was the other thing? Oh, tech channels. I watch a lot of tech channels. So like people that do the
Nice. Me too.
reviews and the smartphone stuff like
Mhm.
MKBHD,
Yep.
Unbox Therapy.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of
Yep.
them too.
Oh, yeah. I watch
And
them too. Awesome.
then like I always say like if I had known because I would watch those when they started, like when they had little
Mm.
subscribers, right? I was
Yeah.
like, if I had known that was a career, I probably would have done that too. Because
Oh, yeah.
I used to fix phones, I used to fix laptops and stuff like that. I was like, I could have recorded all that
Nice.
and just posted
Oh,
it, but
yeah. Most definitely.
I didn't know that was a career.
Yeah. Now you know, now you're doing it.
And then as far as like dealing with customers, I want to say that you're just I don't know, maybe you were brought up really well with manners or something like that. Because I've seen your interactions with the customers. And how did you learn how to deal with customers? Are you just being yourself? Did somebody have to tell you, you know, at one of your jobs, like how to act in front of the customers? Like how do you like how did you deal with customers and that aspect? Because I think you even said that that's your one of your favorite parts is the customer
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was just growing up and being raised the way I did, with
Okay.
manners, and always being taught to look at the person that you're talking to in the eyes, and being respectful and humble. That definitely, growing up, played a big role in how I talk to customers and how I, um, talk to them. So it was definitely growing up. I definitely picked up a lot of good qualities, that I was taught. And I think it's just, being humble is a great one because you never want to perceive yourself or, view yourself as better than another person or than your customer, because then, you're going to it's just not going to go well. Wow. You just need to show respect. And I personally like viewing my customer superior to me. Honestly, this goes to anyone that I talk to. You just view them superior to you. Don't talk down to them, and you're gonna have their respect. And the respect's gonna go both ways.
You gotta well, I mean, it's a whole other level with the customer.
Hmm.
And I always say like the residential guys, like the, you know, hats off to you guys because you're in another person's home where
Yeah,
you need to be respectful of their
yeah,
house and everything that they
definitely.
have there.
Yep.
But I mean, it goes a long way to be respectful or even with like it took me a while to learn that part of it because I just wanted to get in and out. And I started
Yeah.
getting complaints like, "Oh, this guy just didn't say anything to us, didn't talk to
Just
us,
left.
and just yeah, just left. I don't even know what's going on." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know I had." And I had one recently that I was like, they were like, "He didn't even say hi." I was like, "Okay." So then I had to kind of adjust to that,
Yeah.
and I got that part down. And then I realized,
Yeah.
okay, now I need to do that with other technicians. So I've tried to do that at the the supply houses or even the
Yeah.
counter guys. You know, making friends or like networking with people, that's a
Relationships.
big part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Building
Definitely.
relationships with people because then you
Hmm.
never know. I mean, it could also benefit you at the end of the day.
Oh
I
yeah,
talked
most
to
definitely.
somebody, I think it was on nights though. Like even just being buddies with the guys at the supply house, if they have the if they have a part I need and it's like the last one they have, they're gonna hold it for me,
Hmm.
right? Because they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
they are.
Adrian's gonna come and get this. He needs it. I'll hold it for him. So little things like
Exactly.
that go a long way
Yeah,
too.
and I think HVAC had a big part of HVAC is customer service and talking to customers. So having that relationship with customers and being able to talk to them like you're saying, it definitely helps you out a lot because that's what HVAC is all about, customer service, and
Some techs don't understand that, and like I said, even because I had a technician mindset when I started,
Mhm.
I honestly didn't even want to do anything with the business side of it for a
Mm,
long time. But as a technician, you might think like it doesn't matter that much, but it does, right? Because you just think of it as another job, but like the business is like, that's their customer. You want that customer for life. You want
yep.
they if they're comfortable with you and your technicians, they're always going to choose you
Yeah,
over
over other companies.
other companies, whether it's a big name company or a cheap
Yep,
company. They're going to call you if they
definitely.
feel comfortable. Because then I've seen in your videos you are patient with them too, and you talk them through
Yeah,
everything. Like, and
yeah.
it's a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people will talk about those helicopter customers that are over their shoulders, how
Yeah.
they don't like that and it bothers them and it pisses them off. But for me, I love that. I love helicopter customers, and I personally get that a lot being 18,
Oh
being new to
yeah.
the trade. Yeah, so I personally get that a lot and I learned to adapt. And I love my customer right next to me because I'm able to walk them through what I'm doing and I'm talking to them as I'm, working and diagnosing the system. So at the end, when I'm done diagnosing the system and I tell them what's wrong and how much it's going to be, they're not like, "Oh wow, really? How come?" Because since they're around my shoulder, they already saw me throughout the process, checking every single. You know what I mean? So I personally like the helicopter customers,
Hmm.
but yeah, I definitely use that to my benefit.
Yeah, and like I mean, me and my dad, because we've had guys that come in and they're worried about the sale or something else, and they want to run up a ticket or whatever it is. And I'm like, me and my dad have always been like, honest work is what gets
Yeah.
us more work.
Hmm.
So like, I have no issue. I've always gone up and told them like, if you want to come and look at what I'm going to put in, or if you want to verify something with me, I'll show you exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Um, I've even invited a few of them because I only do commercial, so I'm on rooftops.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
invited a
Yep.
lot of them. Hey, you want to come up to the roof? Like, it's up to you.
Yeah.
I had like
Yep.
one or two actually take me up on that, and I was like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'll show you
Yep.
exactly what's
I'll
going
show
on and
you.
what it looks like. It's a little easier now because we got phones. Everything is
Oh
smartphone.
yeah.
So take a
Snap a
picture
picture.
and I can send it to them. It's not a big deal, but uh,
Exactly.
yeah, honest work and dealing with these customers, it goes a long way because then they're comfortable with you and all that. I also went through the same thing because like I was 20 when I started,
Okay.
and I went and got everything in order to go take my contractor's test right away. So I became a licensed contractor in my
Nice.
early mid 20s,
Oh, wow,
and
that's amazing.
I had that issue too of like, who's this kid? I'm like, no, I'm the contractor. I was like, I
Yeah.
know what I'm doing. The whole thing with how you treat customers, I just want to like kind of wrap that up. Like I tell people, unfortunately, you need to look the part, act the part, and that's how you get the part, right? So if you look professional and
Yep.
presentable, if you talk professional and presentable, then you're going to keep getting work. That's the only way to go about it. I'm not saying, because Jake is a good example, I'm not saying that big beards and long hair is a bad thing, but he makes
Yeah.
himself presentable and dresses good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talks
That's
really
true.
well, and that's how he gets
Mhm.
work.
That's true. Yep.
Because people always tell me, because I have tattoos on my arms and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. Um,
Yeah.
as
I don't
long
think
as,
so too either.
yeah, I mean, you're just talking to the customer, like you said, eye contact, kind of making them feel
Yeah.
comfortable. That's
Mhm.
the most important part. We've
I know
hired,
there's a No, go ahead.
we've hired guys that are like shaved heads, tattoos, everything, but they do really good
Yeah.
work and they're good people to talk to. Like they
Exactly.
they do good.
That's what matters. And I know there's some companies, bigger companies out there, they have their employees cover up when they have tattoos and stuff like that. They wear arm sleeves and stuff like that. But I mean, as a bigger company like that, I guess I see what they're going for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And but I feel like at the end of the day, all that matters is their customer service, the way they treat their customer, and their work ethic and how they work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I've been on Facebook where somebody will post something, you know how people like to troll and stuff, and
Yeah.
then they'll chime in like, with all those tattoos, I would never hire you, or I would never
Nah, yeah,
send you out to a
crazy.
customer. I'm like, that does not matter.
Nah, that's pretty crazy to say that.
Yeah, like because I wear these arm sleeves for sun protection, and people have asked
Yeah.
me like, do you use those to cover your tattoos? I'm like, no,
Mm.
it's for
Yeah.
my protection. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't think anybody cares about tattoos in
Yeah.
this day and age, you know.
Yeah. No.
So on the topic of customers and customer service, has there been any customer interactions that have kind of stuck with you? Anything that you maybe it can be like something crazy or anything that you learned from?
Um. There have been like in the positive note, there has been a couple, customers or maybe a few, well, honestly, a lot that I have really good interactions with and are really positive and nice, and they really make the job go by smoothly and seamlessly. Those customers are amazing. uh on a negative note, there are those customers where, I mean, honestly, I've only interacted with my first customer where it was a crazy situation. It was just a few days ago, I believe. But what happened, I wish I was recording. I wish I was recording. It's my first call in the morning. So apparently this customer didn't pay. So we did a water heater install a couple years back, maybe a year back, and he only paid half of the ticket. He had a balance of like 1,400 left on the ticket. Um, but for whatever reason he didn't pay. And he was on the no service list.
Oh yeah.
So the other morning he calls the company, and his AC's out, and he's calling to get a technician sent out. My boss, being the nice guy that he is, he gives him a second chance. So I go over there, he sends me out, and I'm diagnosing his unit. And first I'm talking to his son, and I'm diagnosing his unit. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go check it out, blah blah blah. His compressor wasn't turning on, so I was just checking going through the procedure, seeing why his compressor isn't turning on. And while I'm out there doing that, um, the homeowner, he comes out and he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you touching my unit? I never said to, work on my unit."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Your son told me to work on your unit, and your compressor isn't working. What do you mean it's working fine?" He was telling me he's working fine.
Oh.
I'm like, "Okay, I can stop working on it. He's saying it's working fine, where it clearly isn't." It was like, "Okay, I'll stop working on it. I'm fine." He had another issue in hand about his secondary line was dripping over, the window, blah blah blah. So it was probably clogged. So I'm like, okay, I'll go look at that. And then his son was trying to talk to him to like, no, dad, the AC upstairs isn't working. And he was like, okay, go ahead, finish doing what you're doing. All right, so I'm finishing up. It was just a capacitor. I switched out the capacitor. I'm like, okay, before I go any deeper, before I check to see, why did this capacitor go bad, I'm gonna call my boss and see what I should do, because he has another problem at hand that he wants me to look at.
Hmm.
So my boss gives me instructions to take payment first before I look at that second problem he has. Take payment first for the capacitor. So I do that. I go to take payment for the capacitor, and I'm like, all right, your unit's up and running, because I put the capacitor in just to confirm that it was the capacitor. I got the
Yeah.
unit up and running. And I'm like, all right, man, your unit's up and running. Here's a price. I'm not paying that. That's too much. Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem taking out the capacitor, putting the old one in, and leaving. So I do that. But what happened was our dispatch fee. I
Oh.
was like, okay, all I gotta collect is the dispatch fee for, obviously for my service, my diagnostic fee, the gas. It's all in the fee. And he was like, I'm not paying the dispatch fee. The office never told me that there was a dispatch fee. I didn't want to argue with him, but I told him that our office always lets our customers know that there's a dispatch fee. Are you sure? And he
Hmm.
was like, no, all I was told was the dispatch fee would get taken off if I did any repairs. I'm like, okay, you literally just confessed telling me that
Yeah.
you were aware of a dispatch fee. Anyways, I just, call my boss. I'm like, all right, he's not wanting to pay the dispatch fee. What do you want me to do? And the boss tells me, just leave. Just I'll call him. I'll talk to him. I'll tell him that, I tried giving you a second chance, but
Yeah.
we're not going to service the area. So that was the first interaction with the customer that I actually had that was, like negative or, didn't go as planned. But yeah, that was probably the first time I've ever had like a negative interaction with a customer. All my interactions have been pretty positive and nice.
And they're and you get those every
Yeah,
so often. It's not super often, but
yeah,
even
yeah,
on the commercial side, we deal with that too. And you, the main thing is how you handle yourself. So
yeah,
the last thing you
definitely.
want to do is, like you said, argue with them or lose your cool or anything like that, because then that's just going to look bad on you and the
Exactly.
company. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's like it's not worth it. We've had to, I guess they call it firing your customers. Like we've had to, like you said, just walk away. We're not going to service anymore. It's not
Mhm.
worth the hassle and all that. So um,
Yep.
you learn that as you go.
Yeah. Most definitely. And there's calls that I've seen. Like I've seen videos on YouTube. I've seen Curtis, um, uh, uh, walking away from calls. Like
Oh yeah,
it. Sometimes it's the best thing to do. When you get a customer like that, or when you get a customer that is disrespecting you or in a way, like there's a professional manner to handle that, and there's an extent where you take it and you're comfortable with it and you handle it, but there's that extent where if it goes too far you just walk away. And I definitely haven't had been in a position to have to do that until that time,
oh yeah.
but I can definitely see some customers being in that position to walk away, and you just have to walk away.
And I think I've heard you say in one of your videos, like you also like kind of try to read the room with these customers, right?
Yeah,
Kind of
definitely. Yep.
see how they are, and then that's how you kind
Yeah,
of go into it
yeah.
with the customers.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I go to my door, I always greet them, and I'm always like, "Good morning." I ask them how they're doing. Obviously, their AC is not working, so sometimes it's like I'm doing bad.
Yeah,
But I ask them how they're doing. Blah blah blah, and I just read off of the first sentences, the first word that comes out of their mouth, and you can really read a person's energy, and you can read their energy off of that. So I like to read the room, read their energy off of that, because you can kind of tailor your energy, your personality to them, because some customers, they're really chill and laid back, and you don't want to be that super energetic person to that person because it'll get annoying. You know what I mean? It would really get
yeah,
annoying. You got to just match their energy. So I definitely learned that, running service calls, obviously, usually elderly people, you got to be more soft spoken to them, talk to them slower, just because, they can, get a better understanding of everything you're saying. You'd be on the same page.
yeah. Because what came to mind was there's this other guy. He goes by Rich in kitchens because he does kitchen work, and
Okay.
he's very outspoken. Like
Okay.
he'll say whatever. He's called out his coworkers before, but now he runs his own business, so it's not a big deal.
Nice.
Because he
Yeah. Yeah.
wants
Yeah.
things done the right way, and
Hmm.
we have had conversations, and he's a guy that also reads the room, especially now
Yeah.
because he's all about customer service and that kind
Oh
of
yeah.
stuff. Even though like you talking to him, he just wants to like you know call out everybody and say
Yeah.
whatever's on his mind and whatever's wrong. But like when he deals with the customer, he
It's
reads the
professional.
room and he's professional, and he takes pride in winning over customers too, because you're going to get
Mhm.
some of those hard ones sometimes that might give
Yeah.
you like a hard time, or they might be difficult, but keeping your cool is what helps, right? You
Oh yeah.
like he says, like he keeps his cool. He tries to like what you said, like good morning or how are you doing, or maybe find something that is a common interest and just get a
Oh yeah.
conversation going. And they go
Yep.
from like being the worst customer to a buddy on the job site there, and
Exactly.
they let you do your work, and they they're a good customer after that.
Having that relationship is very valuable with your customer.
Yeah, no matter how you get it, like you said, read the room, get it, or build that trust, and match their energy, or like know how they are.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna go through some of the questions real quick from some of the comments that you got, which I think we answered
Okay.
some of these. So like, have you ever
Okay.
done commercial? Because somebody asked commercial, residential, which was Marco Flores.
Okay. Yeah. So the company I came from and the company that I'm in now, we do mostly residential, but we do some commercial. So I want to say 80% residential, 20% commercial. So yeah, I do work on a little bit of commercial.
Okay.
I have some experience. Well, I'll talk about this. So my last company, we had a contract with Crunch Fitness, and out there in Idaho is where they have a lot of gyms, Crunch gyms, and I think that's where they started, if I'm not mistaken, is in Idaho. So they were really getting ripped off by HVAC company, and one of the investors in Crunch was from out here in California, and I believe my boss was friends with him. So he really recommended my boss's company for work. And Crunch Fitness in Idaho, they would send us out there. They would fly us out in Idaho, and we would do a lot of work for them. So I have a lot of experience with. I can say this because we installed probably like 20 maybe even more package units for our
Oh,
Crunch.
okay.
So we would go there at a time. Each week would knock out like eight, 8 a week. But we would do a lot of commercial out there in Idaho, and it was a lot of fun. They would send us out. They pay for our tickets. They would get us an Airbnb. They would give us per diem every single day for food. But that experience really early on was honestly amazing, and I'm glad that my boss kind of included me into that, because I definitely learned a lot, and it was definitely something cool to experience.
So is a commercial something you would want to do more of?
Oh yeah, commercials. I like commercial a lot. I would love to do commercial a lot more. Like honestly, like if I would have a 50-50, like 50% residential, 50% commercial, I would love that. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, most
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm a commercial guy, so I'm always going to say that I prefer
Yep.
commercial,
Yeah.
just because I don't
Yep.
like to be in people's houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Attics, because here everything is an attic. I know some places get the
Oh yeah.
luxury of like Jake does nothing
Garage.
but garages. Some
Oh,
guys
that's
have the
amazing.
basements. I'm like, those are
Yeah.
better, but like here it's all
Hmm.
attic, so I
Yeah.
prefer
No.
commercial.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree, because out here it's a lot of attics as well, but we do get that fair share of garage indoor units and like closet indoor
Oh
units.
yeah,
When we come across a house like that, it's like, yes, we don't got
yeah.
to be in an attic. But
uh,
the attic is basic, definitely something to get used to. It takes some time, but you get used to it.
so X Pills Broke ask, do you ever think about owning your own company?
Yeah, so I haven't really put too much thought into it, but it's definitely an end goal of mine is to own my own company. And the only thing that I think about a lot is who I have with me in my company, because I'm all about customer service. I love bringing great customer service and good work. So I would want my employees to have that um, same exact work ethic. So I can see definitely branching out to making my own company, but that's would be the hard part, is finding people that I can trust and finding people that would have great work ethic and that would be amazing with customers as well. Because I'm I'm honestly, I'm gonna be picky with who I employ.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I mean? I definitely wouldn't just pick up the first guy I see. But yeah, most definitely opening my own company would be something in the future that I want to do.
And like I've told people, everybody's success in that is different. So like you got
Yeah.
guys like Curtis that are a one man show, and he'll
Yeah.
subcontract everything because he's we've all gone through that, as far as like trying to hire people, it not working
Yeah.
out, and you do got to be picky.
Yeah.
So he's happy as a one man show. We over here we have like four people or five with a
Okay.
helper, and we're happy that
Nice.
that way. And I kind of want to
Yeah.
expand, but it's going to be like a slow process because
Definitely.
I got to find some people that I can probably train and go that route. And
Exactly.
there's some guys that have, 10, 20 trucks out there, and they've figured out a way to streamline it,
Yeah.
and that's what they want.
Yeah.
Like there's everybody's success is different. It's just what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
I forgot to
Okay.
ask you, did you go to any kind of trade school?
Not I didn't go through any trade school, but I just got enrolled in trade school this month.
Oh, so you're going to be
So I just
going
started.
at the same time
Well,
as
yeah,
you're
I
working.
started.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I started. Yep.
So then are you doing like a night school?
Yeah, so my boss is nice enough to pay for my trade school. He actually
Okay.
was the one to offer it. He offered everyone in the company trade school for HVAC, even the plumbers. So a lot of the
Okay.
plumbers are going to trade school for HVAC. So which is nice to see. But yeah, it's 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. in San Diego. It's about an hour drive from where I'm at right now, but we are carpool and it's once a week. But yeah, it's 10 months. So we just
Oh,
started this
okay.
month. It's been great. Been learning a decent amount. But yeah, it's been nice.
It's a good, like I had the advantage of going to trade school in the
Yeah,
beginning. Well, I kind of
yeah,
did the same thing you did, and
yeah,
going to school and learning that, then getting a little bit of experience with somebody, and then
yeah,
going out and getting the license.
yeah.
But it's a good
Hmm.
way to get your basics because, I like you said, you when you got into the field, you're like, refrigeration cycle, what is that, or
Yeah. Hmm.
superheat, subcool, all these little
Yeah.
terms.
Yep.
Hooking up gauges. Well, you're kind of already learning that part of it, but like me
Yeah.
getting into it before I was really into the field, like that was a big advantage of me when I got into the field, knowing the right way to do things because I had a lot of guys that I worked with when I started that had bad habits, and I'm like, okay, then,
Yeah.
like that's not the way you're supposed to do it.
Hmm.
And that's a whole other conversation, but like
Yeah.
schooling, I because I get a lot of questions about that. Like, it's not necessary. Obviously, you got into it without it, but
Yeah.
if you feel like you need, or like you said, your boss paid for it, so it's kind of like
Hmm. Yeah.
why not?
Exactly. It
And
would
it
be dumb for me to
and
pass
it
it up.
gives you a little bit of an advantage, like learning
Yeah.
things in the book and the way things are
Yeah.
supposed to be done and why things do, the way the things that they do,
Exactly.
refrigeration cycle down to the vapor, the liquid, everything. Like that's
Yeah.
the cool part of it.
If you aren't in the trade as of right now and you're trying to get into HVAC, and let's say you can't land a job, you can't get an apprenticeship, you can't get a position to be a helper, then yeah, go for it. Schooling is amazing. And throughout that time, you'll gain some experience and maybe that'll help you get a job. But the way I view it is if you're an apprenticeship for a company, if you're doing hands-on work for a company and you're already kind of got your foot door in HVAC, I personally wouldn't recommend it because you're going to get into a lot of debt and it's not cheap. Schooling isn't cheap. I mean, compare trade school to, other college courses, it's not as expensive, but I don't think it's necessary for when you are in the trade already because when you're learning hands-on in the trade, that's when you're going to learn the most. And
Yeah.
me personally, I've learned more being a helper, being an apprentice, helping out other guys than I have in school. So I just would recommend schooling if like you're not in the trade, if you've never done any hands-on work. But if you already kind of got your foot door in the HVAC trade, then I wouldn't say it's necessary. It'll definitely help you out, but like I wouldn't recommend getting into some debt if if you're already in
Yeah,
the trade.
because well, like I went to at the time it was a community college, so like I did the whole
Okay.
financial aid thing, that helped me pay for
Okay.
it, and it wasn't
Nice.
that
That's
bad.
good.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, price wise, it wasn't that bad, but then
That's good.
I didn't have I wasn't in the field, right? So I didn't know how to use tools. I
Exactly.
didn't know how to do all this
Yeah.
stuff. So those are the things that they taught me, like to bend copper, make my
Exactly.
swedges and all that stuff, and to learn how to braze. Like that's something that I learned in
Mhm.
school.
Perfect.
So like you said, like if
It's
you're
perfect
not
for
in
you.
the
Yeah.
trade, yeah, if you're not in the trade already, that's where you
Yeah.
learn all those things. And it could help
Yeah.
you if like you said, you're emailing these companies, you're trying to get a job or anything like that. They might
Mhm.
prefer if you already know how to braze, how to hook up your gauges, stuff like that. They might be quicker to hire you. Um,
Yeah, most
unless
definitely.
unless unless you luck out and you get a, like you said, an apprenticeship and you learn it that way.
Mhm.
It's there's different ways to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. There are some school so I went to NCI for a couple courses, and I did air balancing and duct optimization course. It was a 3-day course, and that schooling, wow, was
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
I
there's a
learned
bunch of
a
those
lot.
now.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those courses that you could take for specific, things
Yes.
and different, but yeah, I learned so much in that course. It was amazing. Like those like small courses, um, I really recommend. And
Yeah, yeah.
like I'm gonna take one about. Mhm,
No,
go
I
ahead.
forgot about those. There's the
Yeah.
NCI, that's really
Yep.
focused on the HVAC, the airflow,
Yep.
like you said, a lot of that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. There's
Yeah.
all these other
Yep.
events too, but there's like a lot of these little courses that you can just take,
Exactly.
that are just
Yeah.
a day, a couple days, whatever it is. And then
Yep.
there's also, I mean, there's so much YouTube stuff now. So if you guys go to
That's
YouTube
true.
and watch like AC Service Tech or HVAC
Yeah.
School, or
Yeah. Yeah,
Ty
there's a lot.
Brenneman is a really good one too. Like those guys are giving out free courses
Free
online.
information. Yeah. I was just watching one last night. It was, yeah, great information.
There's a few that I go to when I run into something that I haven't seen before. I'm like, okay, somebody has the video on it, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of the young guys, that follow you and might be watching this, if you guys just go to YouTube and kind of watch these channels, like these are literally like classroom type content
Literally.
on
Exactly. It's
YouTube.
what you're gonna learn. It's what you're gonna learn if you go to trade school.
Yeah, trade school. It's like I said, it's good if you find yourself into it and maybe don't get into debt. Like I said, financial aid or whatever it is that you can do, but
Yeah.
it's not that hard to get the training you need to other ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Jonathan asked if or how do you balance, especially I feel like now with your schooling, how do you balance life as an HVAC technician? Like, what's your work life balance?
There's not much balance. I wanna be completely honest. There's not much balance. I work a lot. I work Monday through Sunday. I've been working Monday through Sunday, since summer started. Today, I'm on call. It's Sunday.
Okay.
I'm on call right now. I feel like I'll have balance in my work life once I get to a certain point in life, once I get to a certain, knowledge of HVAC and a certain point in my life. Because right now, honestly, there's not much balance. It's just work. And uh, in the future, there definitely will be more balance. And I feel like this is a great trade to have balance in. So the company I'm at right now, they're pretty lenient, so I can definitely see in the future having some great balance in life. You know what I mean? And I think HVAC is a great trade for that because you have an X amount of calls and you get through them, and you're done for the day. It's not like, okay, I finished my calls. Um, what's next? I mean, if there's no more calls on the board, then there's not much more to do. So HVAC, I feel like, is a great trade to have balance in life. But just me personally, right now, I don't have much balance. I'm just really focused and I'm just working. And yeah.
Yeah, like you mentioned on call. I'm assuming you guys have a rotating on call. Like you're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
literally always working. Um,
Yeah. No.
you're
Mm-mm.
taking shifts. You're taking this. So like my whole thing, I think I mentioned it earlier, was like when I was younger. I mean, you being 18, you're kind of going through it right now. Like when I was younger, that's when you're hustling. That's when you're
Yeah.
taking all the information in, getting all your hours in,
Exactly.
struggling, whatever it is. Like this is a
Yeah.
time to do it before.
Exactly.
I mean, some people have families early on, but like before you have your
Mhm.
family, you got a family to feed.
Mhm.
Before you have, a bunch of kids, whatever it is, like
Yeah.
you get all of that out of the way in the beginning.
The
That's when you
beginning.
have
And,
the time. That's
and
when your body can
exactly.
take it, and
Mhm.
then you benefit later on. That later on,
Yeah.
you're
You
a
can have that balance.
you got that
Yeah.
seniority with your company or anywhere because you've had experience already, and then
Yeah.
you're not going to be the one that's always working, right? You're going to
Yeah.
get your pay, you're going to get your hours, you're going to get your raise. uh
Mhm.
but like I tell people, like in the beginning, you hit the ground running. take
Yeah.
advantage take advantage of that part.
Yeah.
And
Most definitely.
obviously the more you work, the more you learn, and it's going to
Yeah.
help you later on in life. And that
Yeah.
could be another thing, right? Like you learning so much in the beginning, and like you brought up Curtis, when you're older, it could be even like 5 years later, that
Mhm.
work that took you couple hours to do, you could probably do it in less than an hour. Like, it's gonna cut your time.
Exactly.
You're gonna get
Yeah.
those calls out of the way, and then you get out of work, you know?
Yeah, that free time. Yeah, and I think growing up, I've always thought about my future. I've always thought about having a comfortable future. And the only way I knew how to do that growing up was to work. So that's why I mentioned earlier how I got my first job when I was 15 and a half. And so thinking about my future, I was always locked in, and I always restrained from partying. You know, I'd never done drugs, don't drink. I always thought to myself, okay, if I take this time right now to lock in, to just focus on my future, I will have a point in my life later on where I can enjoy myself. I can enjoy the fruits of my labor,
Yeah.
because I just need to get through this point in my life of just working and just, not having too much of a social life, and, not having too much balance, because I know later on it's going to pay off, and I know later on I'll have that balance in life. But yeah, that's definitely the route I've taken, and that's what I'm still going to do
Which
until I
is
feel like yeah.
till you can't do it. Um,
Exactly.
which is
Yeah.
which is cool because or cool to hear because I was the same way. Now
Nice.
I didn't take the trades as serious as I took other
Mhm.
things serious, but like when I was younger, I did the same thing. I didn't do any drugs. I never
Yeah.
drank. I never did any of that stuff because
Nice.
in the back of my head, I'm like, I could be doing other things. I could be,
Mhm.
I don't want to, I don't, and I've always been, I've always thought about money too, because like
Yeah.
I would always think like, how much money do those guys spend buying beer every week or
Yeah.
cigarettes or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? Like how much money are
Yep.
they wasting,
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
It's a waste.
so so then that was always in my head, and then even when I had that grocery job, like I moved out, like I got my own
Okay.
place. That was my priority, and
Nice.
it's funny because my parents, my dad was in the trades, electrician. My
Okay.
mom was like a secretary, and she ended up with a really good job at the school here. So like
Nice.
I was brought up pretty well too, and my mom was really good with money. My dad not so
Okay.
much, but my mom was really good with money, and she had all her notes, and she did all this. She wrote everything down, expenses, budgets, all of that. And then when I wanted to move out, she's like, "With what money, right?" Because I only worked at that job that paid like a couple $100 a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, "With what money?" Or like, "Have you thought this out?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I had a notebook full of like my notes, like I need this much, and I can afford this much. These are my expenses.
Nice.
Because I had a car at the time, like a car payment, and I had everything laid out. And I'm like, "Who do you think
That's
I
good.
learned that from?" I'm like, "I got it from
Yeah.
you." So like,
Exactly.
I've always been worried about my money and like how I
Yeah.
spend it. And if you think
Definitely.
about your future, I mean, that's it's a good thing to get or be aware of early on in your
Yeah.
life, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
like plan it out.
Yeah, definitely. That's good to have a plan like you did. But yeah, so I always liked saving, and that was like a big thing. I would always save my money when I worked. I never really blew it or spent it. And then I came across some videos on YouTube, like some financial videos, and it was just talking about like keep your money in a savings account or a banking account.
Oh yeah.
It depreciates, and there's not much to be made. So I always look deeper into that, and I have a few investments, and just from YouTube, just straight watching YouTube. I always just learned about finances and stuff like that. So when I was 17 is when I first made my first like Charles Schwab account, and I wasn't of age to make it, so I had my mom.
Yeah.
I had my mom make it, so I had my mom make an account, and that's when I opened up a Roth IRA, and I started just putting money into there and for my future, just for my future. It's like it's nothing crazy. It's not like I'm gonna have instant money being made. It's for the long run. You know what I mean? But it's something. And then I have a index fund in the S&P 500, and then I have a high yield savings account. And with all these, like I always constantly put money into those investments account every single week, every paycheck. I made it a
Okay.
habit. I made it something I do. I put 10% into each account, and I just divide it out, and I just throw it in there. And whatever I get left with is what I have. You know what I mean?
Uh,
But yeah,
I was never good about that early on. I do it
mhm,
now, and
that's good.
usually any big chunk of money, money that I get extra, I throw it in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My girlfriend does like what you do, is like every paycheck there's a
Yeah.
percentage that goes over.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
it sucks when you start it because you see it and it's like not
Yeah.
much, but like
Exactly.
that you
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
just let it be and then
Gotta
save
see
up
the
your
growth.
money.
Yeah. Definitely.
And
And everyone watching, like, it's never too late to start. No matter like what
no, like
age you are,
I said,
it's
like
never too late.
I just started a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I just hope everyone that's watched this, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this are trying to get into the trade, trying to get into HVAC. Just hope you guys are able to, take something from this podcast, take something from Adrian's content, my content, and learn from it, because that's step one to being successful, I guess, is just learning. And once you learn, it doesn't just stop there. You have to take action. And I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I didn't take action on what I learned. So one thing, knowing something, but it's actually putting it to use. So I hope you guys learn something from this podcast and are able to put it to use, put it to action.
And I will just add to that, you never stop learning. I
Mhm.
myself, being 17 years into this, I still do my homework. I still read up on things. I still look up, you look up stuff after work. I mean, that's a big key to kind of like being successful, is just
Yeah,
never stop learning.
definitely. Yep.
So I appreciate you for coming on, man. Thanks for sitting down, taking the time. And
Of course, man.
everybody,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, no problem, man. Everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys.
All right.